Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at Walmart in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. I just wanted to take a look at this particular Walmart to see if we actually had some restocks. I know my current Walmart out in McKinney, where I went last, didn't really have a lot of plants. So we're going to see if they've downsized some of their plants outdoors or if they're currently getting some restock. So we're going to look at some of the plants they have available here. Plant foldies, you can see that we've got some bougainvillea here. And for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome to another plant shopping video. I post plant shopping videos daily, or at least I attempt to. And you can see right here, plant foldies, we do have some tropical outdoor plants here. We've got some Hollywood hibiscus plants. This one's already in bloom. And what I like about hibiscus flowers is that they do bloom profusely in the summertime. Now, tropical hibiscus means that you would only be able to grow them in containers. But anyways, I wanted to go ahead and show you some of the plants that they have here in the indoor section. Notice the yellow tags. These are a bunch of Raven ZZs, and these are either $10, and I think they also have $5 ones. These are trending tropical Costa Farms plants that were originally for $19.84 in self-watering planters. Now, I would highly recommend getting these ZZ plants on clearance because for the most part, they are easy to take care of. I've gotten my ZZ Ravens actually for $5 as well when I got lucky, like today, for instance, finding them on clearance. So you can see that it's got some beautiful foliage. What I would recommend whenever you're buying clearance plants or plants that have been reduced in price, assume that there are potential plant pests on them. So I would take the plant out. I would water them thoroughly just with water, making sure that you soak the leaves, you get the soil wet, and then I would take a pest preventative spray, something like neem oil. I have my own DIY neem oil spray that I call Foldy Mist, and it's basically a combination of rubbing alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, neem oil, and dish soap, and I spray it on the plants, and it pretty much gets rid of any of the potential pests that might be lurking. I also spray the surface of the soil, the bottom of the pot, just to make sure if there's any eggs or anything lurking, that I could potentially get rid of them. And then every time I water my plants, I always spray them with that neem oil spray, and I've had very little plant pests. I have literally had no mealy bugs this year using that spray, so I'm super excited. But anyways, plant foldies, you can see that this Walmart actually has quite a bit of plants on clearance, mostly the Raven ZZs. I don't mind it, and honestly, if I was sort of on a plant, how do I put this? I'm actually trying to be on a plant budget, but as you can see in my previous video where I featured Monstera Thai constellations at Costco, I just went ahead and bought the plant. But normally I would buy these Raven ZZs for $5 or $10, I guess depending on the size. It's a very good price, and this is another plant that I would consider an indestructible plant. You really can't kill it unless you overwater it. So if you water frequently and just keep the soil wet, that is one way to give it root rot, and then that's how it would die. Now over here we've got an Epipremnum aureum global green pothos. I really like global green pothos. Just Epipremnum aureum or pothos plants in general are really nice. These are also for $19.84. For those going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas, August 31st, September 1st, super excited because there is going to be a plant vendor that will be featuring many rare Japanese pothos. So if you haven't done any research on Japanese pothos, there's so many different varieties that haven't really reached the Western world, different variegations, different leaf textures for Epipremnum aureum. Obviously, these are probably going to be a little bit more pricey, but I definitely want to get that on film for all of our plant foldies that are not going to be able to make it to PlantCon. Also, if you are a local plant foldy, we are planning on doing a meetup at PlantCon. If we all meet up at Peta's Planters at 11 a.m. Saturday, August 31st, I would love to meet you guys in person, and it will be fun. I will also have my Grow Folds merchandise t-shirt available for purchase there. I've got 4 different colors. If you have Instagram, definitely check out my Instagram stories. I will post those as well. But going back to the plants, I'm actually surprised that they have quite a bit of plants available at this Walmart. Sometimes it's a hit or miss, I suppose, with big box stores, especially in the summertime. I've noticed that a lot of big box stores have kind of downsized the amount of plants that they have in the summertime. So it's nice to see that there are actual plants available to purchase. The majority of these plants are sourced out by Costa Farms. So this one right here is for $14.98. This is another ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree, and I like fiddle fig leaf in a sense that you can grow this into a full-blown tree. In tropical areas such as the Philippines, which is where my family's from, they can get up to 20 to 30 feet in height. And then this is another plant I want to actually get more of. This is a Epipremnum aureum silver streak pothos. This one's for $19.84. Another Costa Farms plant, and I just like that it does have that silver streak. It is a plant that's easy to take care of. It's very similar, I suppose, in the look of like a Monstera estadliana. I do like the silver streaks of this. Now, as far as it growing on a totem pole or moss pole, I haven't really seen a lot of information about it, of whether the plant actually gets larger size leaves when it grows up a totem pole or moss pole. So plant foldies, if you know anything about that, please leave that in the comments. And again, for those that would like to leave comments, please use the hashtag plants or hashtag grow folds. I want to create more unison in my plant branding or my YouTube branding, so that would be awesome. And then over here, plant foldies, Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This is what you would also call the mini Monstera. This is also for $19.84. Really like the look of this Monstera. Or actually, it's not a Monstera. It's actually a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, often called as a mini Monstera. The thing about it is not part of the Monstera family. This plant definitely needs to have a stake or some type of pole for it to climb, because that is the natural growth pattern that it does. And then over here is another silver streak pothos by Costa Farms for $19.84. And I'll tell you, Costa Farms tends to have some very cost-effective pricing. I am really thankful that Costa Farms has been able to get us a lot of these exotic plants, these indoor tropical plants, just for the general market. And you know, a lot of people will ask me why I do big box store plant shopping videos, and I think it's because big box stores are typically accessible to anybody, and I believe that plants should be accessible to anybody. So for those that are asking why big box stores, that's the reason why. And this is really cool. I am actually geeking out the fact that we have a Aglaonema spatha. This is such a cool looking uncommon Aglaonema. This has that green on green variegation. I've never found it at a big box stores as a trending tropicals Costa Farm plant, but I did today. I have one actually growing in hydroponics. I ended up finding it not at a big box store. It was at a local nursery out in Austin, Texas, called The Great Outdoors. I love The Great Outdoors. Huge selection, but it's so exciting to see that Costa Farms is pushing out more of these different types of Aglaonema. If you haven't been following my channel, I will let you know that I love Aglaonemas. Aglaonemas are one of my favorites. I have a love for Aglaonemas. I actually imported Aglaonemas from Indonesia, and I am starting to beef up my Aglaonema collection. Now with Aglaonemas like this, more bright indirect light will give them better coloration. Now over here is a sad looking Alocasia for $19.97 by Growers Bench. And then we have another Costa Farms bromeliad. This one is for $14.97. This one isn't a self-watering planter, and I've noticed that with a lot of Costa Farms plants, or just even a lot of these other nursery growers, they have been switching out to self-watering planters. I think that is a really good move, especially for those that are not so keen on like watering routines. For me, it helps me out because I'm an underwater. I don't water my plants nearly as frequent. And then over here, plant foldies, we've got a hanging basket of Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos in an 8.5-inch exotic angels hanging basket by Costa Farms. Now, what I will tell you about finding a Costa Farms hanging basket like this for Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue, this is actually not as common as I would find. It's mostly green, and that is because it probably hasn't gotten nearly as much light as it needs. If you give it more light, you'll see more of the yellow variegation from it. And then this is a really nice deep green Sansevieria trifasciata, or what you call a snake plant. Now, this is in another self-watering planter by Costa Farms. $14.97. And as far as these self-watering planters, I would say Walmart is probably the most cost-effective when it comes down to any of the big box stores. Obviously, I love shopping at Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart for big box stores, though. You already know I like to compare and contrast. I like to see plant pricing. I'm all about finding really good deals, and that's the reason why I like to compare and contrast these plant pricing. You can see over here, plant foliage, we have another bromeliad, and I do like that it has that green on green streak on it. Really nice looking bromeliad, also for $14.97. I like it a lot. It's one of those bromeliads I would add to my collection. I do like bromeliads that have more pink color because pink plants are a thing for me. I love pink colored plants. And then you can see this is just a standard green bromeliad. There's not a lot going on, but I always tell people green plants, just no variegation. Don't sleep on them because there is a certain elegance and there's a certain peace, mindfulness that we get by just looking at green plants. I mean, they talk about greenery and how greenery is very calming. Well, you know, you want to surround yourself with green plants as well. And in plant foliage, we got another Sansevieria trifasciata here for $14.97. Really like the look of this. And what I will tell you about Sansevieria plants is they are easy to care for. They are marketed as low light tolerant. Same thing with ZZ plants. Now, ZZ plants like this one right here for $14.97 is probably the easiest indoor house plant that you can grow by far. Maybe a pothos plant, but this is definitely easy because you can literally not water this plant for an entire month, keep it in lower light conditions, and it will still live. And for a lot of us, that might actually be what we need to start out with, is an easy to care for plant. You know, we are always attracted to maybe variegation or just beautiful foliage, but sometimes starting out with a basic plant like that is going to really jumpstart your plant journey. Now, this is another, quote, basic plant. This is an Aglaonema red Siam or Siam Aurora, $14.97 by Costa Farms. And while this plant is a very common plant to find, I don't really commonly see them in plant collections. I think it's such an underrated plant. It's a beautiful plant. And if you're a plant foldy or you call yourself a plant foldy, I really think you should be growing Aglaonema, especially the Aglaonema red Siam. Now, over here is a larger Raven ZZ plant. And you know, it's interesting, the dark foliage ZZ plant used to be so uncommon a couple years back, and now you can find them at big box stores. And then over here we have another Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree. Really like the look of that. It's a nice looking foliage as well. That one's going to need a lot of bright indirect light. And I'm going to pan over here, and I'm getting excited because look at this. This is another Aglaonema of some sort by Costa Farms, and this one is only for $14.97. Self-watering planter. I love the look of this one because it's got silvery foliage with some green white streaks on it, and then I love the white stems on this Aglaonema. I think it's precious. I think it's adorable, and I think that it's one of those plants that we definitely need to take a look at. Aglaonemas, I want to plant influence you. So that's the new word that my collab trio, me, Janae Simone, and I Lift Plant Steven have called. It's called plant influence. I really want to influence you guys into looking at different types of plants. Like this one is another Aglaonema that of some sort. I'm not sure the plant ID for this Aglaonema, so I'm hoping that maybe Costa Farms, if you guys ever see this video, would give me the plant ID, or if better yet, if you are a plant foldy and you are versed with Aglaonema plant IDs, please give me a plant ID for this. This is also for $14.97. White stem Aglaonemas are so cool, and again, Aglaonemas don't need to be watered as frequently. But to tell you a little story, I actually ended up really damaging my Aglaonema's health because I did not water them for more than a month thinking that they would be okay. That is not what you want to do. You want to at least wait till the soil dries out completely, but you still want to stay on top of the watering for Aglaonemas. They are an easy to care for plant. And then this is another trending tropicals Aglaonema. This is called an Aglaonema pink Siam. And if you give Aglaonema pink Siam quite a bit of light, the actual pink borders of the leaf will become even more pink. Now this one is a little bit more expensive than the other two. This one is for $19.84. Now, the thing about Costa Farms, and I hope that Costa Farms will keep releasing more Aglaonemas. I think Aglaonemas, and I will repeat myself multiple times, it is such an underrated plant. And, you know, plant foliage, I don't know why. Is it because there's just not a lot of talk about it? Is it because there's not a plant influencer that has really made it a big deal? Because I'm just surprised. If you look at the Indonesian Instagram pages of Aglaonema, they have such beautiful plants. And these are things that we don't really see. Like this one, I regret not purchasing this. So I have come to the point where there's 3 Aglaonema only for $14.97. It looks fairly healthy, and look at the leaves, the nuances of the leaves, just the patterns on it. It's really nice. And again, you know, Aglaonemas come in different shapes and sizes. Some Aglaonema have rounder leaves. Some Aglaonema have more narrow leaves. Some Aglaonema have different color stems. I love the white color stem on this, and I'm hoping if this Walmart has Aglaonema, then I'm pretty sure that other Walmarts will have Aglaonema from Costa Farms. So I'm super thankful that Costa Farms still has that available. And, you know, you have to ask yourself why we gravitate to certain plants. For me, plant foliage, it's because of the value that a certain plant gives. If it's inexpensive, if it's easy to care for, if it gives you colorful foliage, if they are easy to propagate, and if they're just unique, those are a lot of the qualities I look for in plants. And you know, Aglaonemas tend to capture a lot of that. The only drawback about Aglaonemas is Aglaonemas tend to be a slower grower, so we'll see what that all looks like, but we'll definitely take a look at that. And then we also have ZZ plants right over here. This is another plant that I feel like is really considered a common basic plant, so it's often overlooked. But if you are somebody that has discovered my channel and you want to find an easy to care for plant, a plant that you want to start off with, I would highly recommend a ZZ plant. Whether it's the green version or the Raven ZZ, you will get more out of that plant because it's easy to care for. And for the most part, you know, some people will say ZZ plants are slower growers. I don't really think they are. I think that they could be moderate growers depending on how much light you provided. And I've always talked about this in all my videos, but lighting conditions on plants really dictate a lot of things. Overall health for a plant. If you provide a plant you know, bright indirect light, it will definitely grow faster. It will definitely give you better variegation, better coloration. And it will also just keep the plant healthy to the point where you won't have to worry so much about plant pest. Now over here, plant foliage, we are looking at the cuddly cactus. This one is for $17.97. This one is by Growers Bench. And then you can see here we have some Dracaena. So we have a Dracaena lemon lime or lemon surprise. I'm not 100% sure, but this is another plant that was sourced out by Costa Farms for only $9.97. Now it is under the label of Garden Expert. That's Walmart's like houseplant or outdoor plant brand name, but that is all from Costa Farms. $9.97 is a very good deal, very good value for that particular plant. Now over here, plant foliage, we have this one for $7. This is another trending tropicals ZZ plant right here. So if you are looking to start growing ZZ plants and you're in the local Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would definitely go to this Plano location to purchase a ZZ plant. That's a really good price actually. And the plants in general, they're not suffering. I feel like they're okay, and you'd be able to grow them to a really good size. I know that I lucked out and I was able to find some of those on clearance. And then obviously plant foliage, we're going to look at some Epipremnum aureum, golden Pothos. This one is for $9.97. Now this one doesn't have nearly as much variegation as some of the other Pothos, golden Pothos I've seen, but that is another easy to care for plant. It's an easy to find plant. People will consider it a basic plant, but it is a plant that I would recommend for any beginner or even somebody that has a very extensive, like rare plant collection. Grow Pothos. I am excited to really see some of the Japanese Pothos. If you ever like do a Google search for Teruno series, you'll see what I mean. But overall, it was a pleasant surprise for me to walk into this actual Walmart to see clearance plants. And then I want to pan over here and show you all the different varieties of Aglaonema. So we've got an Aglaonema red Siam here. We have an Aglaonema pink Siam here. So it's the pink version of the Aglaonema, beautiful plant. That one is also for $19.84. This is another Aglaonema. I am not 100% sure the plant ID. So if you're watching this, please leave in the comments with a timestamp on what this particular Aglaonema would be. I definitely should have bought that one. And then we have an Aglaonema spathanema right here. That one is actually fairly uncommon of a Aglaonema to find. It's one that has beautiful green on green variegation. It might even have some white streaks depending on how much light you give it. And then we have another Aglaonema right over here. Notice that this one is slightly different. This one has more of a silvery tone about it. Really like that a lot, and I love the white stems. Again, plant foldies, if you don't know the plant ID, if you know actually the plant ID for this Aglaonema, I would highly appreciate it. Please leave that in the comments because I definitely want to get this Aglaonema. I definitely want to show you guys my Aglaonema collection. I've talked about doing a houseplant tour soon. I have so many ideas. Like I want to feature my Aglaonema collection, my dark foliage plants, my crotons, my coleus plants, all of the works, and just have to stay tuned. I did want to thank all of those that really tuned into my Costco plant finds yesterday. That had so many people viewing it, and there was just a lot of engagement. So if you haven't already and have made it this far into the video, please make sure you are hitting the like button. It helps my videos so much, and it helps grow the plant foldie community. We are now at 10,100 subscribers, and so we're growing at a pretty good pace. I'm hoping that we can continue to grow that pace, especially heading into PlantCon. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, I gotta love all of these Aglaonemas. It's easy for me to pull out my my pocket and try to buy all of these plants. What do you guys think so far of these Aglaonemas? And what do you think of all the plants so far that I've shown you at this Walmart? I will be visiting another Walmart, but before we do that, plant foldies, I'm gonna walk outside, and to my pleasant surprise, I have been able to find so many cool plants at this Walmart. I didn't even realize that they have still quite an extensive outdoor section. The other Walmart I went to has really downsized, but this one has like Fatsa japonica for $10.97. I show this often in a lot of my videos, but this is called a Japanese Aralia. This one is considered a perennial plant if you're to grow that in a certain grow zone. My grow zone, which is North Dallas, is 8B, and this one can actually be a perennial, which I really like. Now with Fatsa japonica, it can be grown indoors as an indoor house plant, or you can grow it in the landscape. They do prefer to be in more of a shaded area. You do not want to grow a Fatsa japonica in full sun, otherwise the leaves will burn. There are different varieties of the Fatsa japonica. They've got like the Fatsa japonica spider's web. They've got a Fatsa japonica camouflage as well, where it's like green on green variegation. And then we talked about plants going on clearance. You can see right here, these are hibiscus, tropical hibiscus plants for $10. And I really like the look of tropical hibiscus as well. Really nice looking plant. It's another plant that I would love to be able to grow hibiscus like in my landscape, but they are tropical plants, and with the very cold winters in North Dallas, these would not survive a freeze, much less snow. So if you're gonna grow a tropical hibiscus, at least in North Dallas or in a similar climate, you want to grow them in a container. That way you can overwinter them or take them indoors and grow them under a grow light until the winter passes. And then over here we've got some crepe myrtles. dark foliage crepe myrtles for only $10. And you know, crepe myrtles, at least in my environment, they love heat. They love to be in full sun. So that's another plant that will do very well for my grow zone. And I've noticed a lot of oleanders in bloom this season. You can see how beautiful that pink flower is. Now, the only thing about oleanders plant foldies is that it is highly toxic. It's very poisonous. So you never want to ingest any of the leaves. You never want to get any of the sap on your skin. It's very toxic. It's definitely not pet friendly. It's not kid friendly. So you just have to be cautious about this plant. I definitely would not eat or ingest any of the part of this plant because it is poisonous. And then you can see over here, though, it does have beautiful blooms. The blooms almost remind me of plumeria. Now with oleander, they do not like to be in cold weather as well, so you just have to really look at your grow zone if you're going to grow them outdoors. Now, plant foldies, you can see we've got tons of different shrubs right over here. I'm just going to keep walking and show you the and pan over and just show you all of the different plants that they have available. I'm super excited that they have quite a bit of plants still. And you can see right over here, they've got some more plants on clearance. So summertime is probably a good time if you're looking for value plants, like plants that are on clearance or on sale. You can see right here, this is a Zora plant for only $5. That's not a bad price at all. Now, this is a tropical shrub that actually pushes out some beautiful tropical blooms. Now, this is another plant that you cannot grow in a landscape, at least in Dallas. Long term, that would be something that you would have to grow in a container because it will not survive the cold winters. It is a beautiful plant. Now, when I was actually on vacation in the Philippines about a month ago, I saw these as full-blown shrubs, full-blown bushes, and they were thriving. I would say that this particular bush would actually do well with more humidity as well. But those are on clearance for $5, and that is such a good price as well. We have a bunch of smaller roses over here. Now, the thing about roses, they're a little bit finicky. You don't want to top water them. You don't want to get their foliage wet. You want to water them from the base. And look at this. Plant foldies, this is amazing to just be able to see a bunch of these like cordyline Hawaiian tea plants, large foliage plants. Really like the look of that as well. And it's a plant that I feel like we should all take a look at. You definitely don't want to grow these indoors. And we're going to see they're only for $14.88. This is under the Florida sun, so this was definitely sourced out from Florida. Cordyline Hawaiian tea plant prefers to be out more so in the outdoors. They can grow in full sun. Actually, giving them full sun will give them better coloration and variegation. If you try to grow them indoors, the likelihood of getting spider mites is very high. So if you're going to grow them indoors, you want to make sure that there's some type of humidity around to repel spider mites, as well as spraying it with neem oil just to keep the pests away. But for the most part, cordyline tea plants or cordyline plants in general need to be outside. They prefer to be outside. And the reason being is whenever a plant gets like spider mites or some type of pest, it's because the plant's health has been compromised. So the plant is not necessarily in an environment where it can feel healthy, and that actually releases pheromones for plant pests to be more inviting. I guess, plant pests will actually be like, okay, you're not really healthy, so we can take over for you. So cordyline plants, when grown indoors, they just don't really like it, or at least I haven't had the success for it. Now, plant foldies, let me know if you've actually grown a cordyline tea plant indoors and if you haven't gotten spider mites, but that is a plant that I say needs to be grown outdoors. Same thing with alocasias. This is an Alocasia california, and these are quite large, beautiful plants. Alocasias in general are a little bit more finicky. They are definitely not a beginner plant. Like, I would say if you are still getting your first couple of plants, I would steer away from Alocasia because Alocasia, you have to stay on top of their watering. You have to stay on top of their pest control. They're just finicky, but this one is only for $16.88. That is not a bad price at all. And you can see there are several Alocasias here. The cool thing about this Alocasia is I could actually grow an Alocasia, which is also known as an elephant ear, in my landscape, in my grow zone, and it will actually go dormant in the winter and come back around the summertime. So that's a plant that is considered a perennial in my grow zone. And you can see right here, we've got some Nandina bushes. This is the lime version. Now, what's cool about Nandina bushes is in the winter or like fall, it's an evergreen bush for one, and then it also turns red in the fall. Now over here, I wish these were only $1.84. These crotons are not $1.84. I got excited, but these are a bunch of croton petras. Now, crotons around the late fall, early summer, or actually, sorry, late summer, early fall is when we start to see a bunch of crotons making it to big box stores. I think it's because they have more like fall looking colors. A lot of people will just grow them as more of like an annual container plant for the fall season, but crotons are actually tropical plants. They do so well in the country of the Philippines. They can grow into full-blown trees. Now, somebody told me that you can actually grow crotons pretty successfully indoors. I haven't really been successful for that, but I think it's because I wasn't watering my crotons nearly as much. I didn't realize that crotons were a little bit more thirsty when grown indoors, but for $14.88, I was almost tempted to purchase a croton plant. You know, the croton petra is quite common, but it is a beautiful plant, and its variegation and colors are actually influenced heavily by the amount of light you give it. You can actually grow that in full sun. And then you can see right over here, we've got some more tropical plants available. It looks almost like a bird of paradise, but it is not. But you can see this Walmart actually plant foliage has quite a bit of plants for the outdoors. So it looks like not all big box stores have downsized their selection. Maybe Walmart is going to get another resurgence of restocks of plants. So you already know plant foliage. I'm going to make my way to more Walmarts in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to see if they're going to get more plants. But this one is for $16.88. Not a bad price at all for this particular plant as well. I don't have nearly as much interest. I feel like it would be just too big of a plant for my space. But as you can see here, plant foliage, lots of tropical plants available.
All of the time we spent together in our prime, we were birds of a feather, different kind. We were laughing through the pain, you were never once sober. Cut the cord that kept us connected, blacking out the mirror.
You can see we have some more tropical plants right here. This is only for $9.97. I don't know a lot about this particular plant, so plant foliage, if you know any care tips, please leave that in the comments. And then we have some more smaller pots of croton petra. This is only for $7.84. That's actually a really good price as well. I want to collect more crotons next year. I think once I get my plant collection under control, just being able to like take care of them more consistently, have better routines, I'm gonna start adding more plants. I realized that having a lot of these plants in my home became a little bit more overwhelming. I wasn't able to tend to their watering needs, their pest needs, all of that. And so that's the reason why plant foliage, it's okay to downsize your plants. I would actually recommend it because it's so easy and so addictive to go to like a big box store, want to pick up every single plant that you find because you feel like it's a good price, it's a good deal, you have to have it, and then next thing you know, you have more than 100 plants and you don't have nearly as much time day to day to take care of them. I always talk about this in all of my plant shopping videos, but I really do believe that when it comes down to plants, plants should bring you joy. Plants should not stress you out. And so the moment that plants are actually overwhelming you is the time you have to really evaluate and think about whether you should be adding more plants or maybe you should downsize. Now, this is for $16.97, and it is chrysanthemum or mum season. So again, just like crotons, around the late summer, early fall, we start to see a bunch of chrysanthemums and mums. Typically, you can grow these as a perennial plant in the landscape. They would grow back year after year, or if you just want it as a patio container accent, that's also fine as well. And then you can see over here, plant foliage, we've got some beautiful flowers. Now these are for $8.77. They look like sunflowers and I love it so much. This is a Rudbeckia for $8.77. I haven't ever seen this, so this is actually a unique flower right over here. I've never actually visited the outdoor section for this particular Walmart. So I'm glad that I actually visited it because it gives me hope that even in the summertime, big box stores will still continue to restock plants. Now, plant foldies that are outside of Texas or in another part of Texas, let me know if your Walmarts are actually downsizing plants or if they're restocking. I'm just really curious because I've had some people leave comments and tell me that there's actually a lot of plant shops or big box stores that have downsized in their plants. So I just am curious to see if we actually have more plants coming into these big box stores. I did notice, and this is really cool, that they have the Coleus Campfire on clearance for I think $5, and these are healthy looking ones. Like, they're super healthy. And the thing about Coleus Campfire is it can actually grow in full sun. You can see that that's when they clearanced it out. It's on August 17th, and you can see that the color is actually more red when you give it a little bit more light, especially if you give it like full sun. This is what you consider a sun coleus. Now, I have a coleus obsession. I had one earlier this summer in spring where I was just pretty much collecting all different varieties of coleus plants. The reason why I like coleus plants is actually these are only for $2.50. Wow, I thought it was $5. Really good deal. If I didn't already have a whole jungle of coleus growing in my backyard, I would totally pick up some. But the cool thing about coleus plants is they're easy to propagate, they're fast growing. I would say they're the easiest to propagate to grow in straight soil. Like, literally you can take a cutting off of this plant, stick it in soil, about 4 days later it is already rooted. So you can see that these are some more coleus plants. This one's called the Main Street Coleus. Now, this one is by Better Homes and Garden. This one's full price for $8.78. But if you notice how the middle of this particular leaf has like pinkish leaf, that is because, coleus plants, a lot of their coloration is actually influenced by the amount of light that they receive. So depending on the coleus plant. So most coleus want to stay in the shade. But if it's one of those shaded coleus plants, if you still provide it with quite a bit of bright indirect light, you can really enhance the colors. So that's something I learned when I actually grew some of my coleus in deeper shade. They didn't have nearly as beautiful colors as the ones that were receiving a lot more bright indirect light. And you talk about coleus plants, this one I think is for $17.97. So we've got different types of coleus right here, different varieties, and I like that the green one is actually really nice. Again, coleus plants are super easy to care for. The only drawback about coleus plants, because they can be grown outdoors or indoors, you can really grow these as house plants, is they're very thirsty plants. Like, you literally need to water them every day. Otherwise they start to get droopy, and if you don't water them for quite a bit, they end up dying. But I wanted to go ahead and show you another Walmart. This is a Walmart I frequent. This is the Walmart off of Custer Road in North McKinney, Texas. So we're gonna definitely check out to see what this Walmart has. The last time I visited this Walmart, the outdoor section actually didn't have nearly as much plants. I was actually disappointed, thinking that maybe in the summertime most Walmarts are going to downsize their plants. So we're going to definitely check it out. Now, plant foldies, I did want to ask, as you have watched a lot of my plant shopping videos, what big box store do you like shopping? Do you prefer shopping at Walmart? Do you prefer shopping at Lowe's? Do you like to go to Home Depot? Because all three of them have some really good plants. I've found a lot of plants where I was surprised to find them, especially at this Walmart, for instance. I've found some really great plant finds, like the Philodendron Golden Crocodile, Philodendron Golden Violin. I've found the Philodendron Heteroraceum Neon. And you can see right here, I just walked straight into the indoor section. It looks like they are very light on the indoor section, but plant foldies, this is actually exciting because it looks like they have somewhat restocked their outdoor section. So I'm noticing that they have a couple of hanging baskets, some more planters of flowers. So let's take a look at this hanging basket right here, just in time for the fall, because it's got some fall colors. This one's for $17.88. This is a Calibranchoa hanging basket. They look like miniature petunias. Really like the look of this as well. I've seen a lot of this all throughout summer, and it looks like they've got another restock. And it's just really interesting how big box stores just tend to get restocks at very sporadic times. I've always asked a lot of the big box store employees when they get actual plant restocks, and oftentimes they just say the pallet shows up with the plant. So I wish there was a little bit more of a schedule. I have a schedule around checking out plants, and you can see right here, this looks like these are the Coleus campfires again for $5.88. And if you notice from the previous Walmart that I visited, those were on clearance for $2.50, but they look like the same healthy quality as this one. So again, plant foldies, if you are ever shopping for big box store plants, definitely shop around, take a look at the plants because you'll get better deals. It looks like this Walmart just got a restock of outdoor plants. These Coleus are back in action, and that's really exciting because Walmart actually this season had a lot of Coleus plants to pick from, which is super exciting because I feel like people don't really pay attention to Coleus plants. Like this Coleus campfire right here, I would recommend it as a house plant. Like you can literally grow those indoors and they will do fine for you. And the reason why I know that is because I saw a bunch of Instagram pages. A lot of European countries actually have a huge following for Coleus plants. They call them the palette leaf plant, and I love it. And you can see that these Coleus campfire have actually received quite a bit of light. Therefore, it is giving you some really good colors. What I also like about Coleus plants is you can let them bloom and you can actually collect seeds from them. And depending on whether you have multiple Coleus around, you might potentially be able to grow a seed and it can actually be some type of hybrid where it cross-pollinated with a particular Coleus plant. So that's something that I'm doing. I have all of my Coleus plants just growing out in my backyard. When I went to the Philippines, I actually had them growing in my front yard, but I needed some way to be able to water them consistently. So I had like a whole sprinkler system in my backyard. I just haven't moved them to the front, but they're doing just fine. Now, plant foldies, you can see right over here, we have some vinca flowers. We've got some petunias right over here. These are plants as well that I thought would actually not be seen as often after the summer, but it looks like there's quite a bit of petunias available. And then we can see that there's some more flowering plants. These are called dianthus plants. Let me try to get this off. This one is for how much? You can see right here, different types of dianthus blooms for $3.54. Really like the look of that as well. And that's another plant that I would totally consider growing in like a flower bed, a full sunflower bed. You know, with a lot of these flowers, except for impatiens, you really need to have a lot of light because any plant that is actually growing flowers takes a lot of energy. And so for a plant to really have energy, they need to be able to photosynthesize. And to photosynthesize, it needs light. So full sun for flowers, you will get better yields of flowers. So just a couple of tips, but I'm so excited. This looks so much better, right? Plant foldies, because I remember if you saw my video from like 2 weeks ago, this place was pretty barren. It didn't have any plants, and you can see right here, full fresh hanging baskets of vinca flowers for $12.97. Love vinca flowers because vinca flowers are so drought tolerant. You know, we've had temperatures in 100-degree weather at in North Dallas, and these plants are still thriving in that heat. They are drought tolerant and they produce so many flowers. What's interesting is though, vinca flowers are considered annuals, obviously in my grow zone, but when I was in the Philippines, they actually can grow to be like flowering shrubs because it's a tropical environment, and for some reason they prefer that humidity. And then plant foldies over here, we've got another container of flowers for $17.88. That's not a bad price at all, and it's an instant container of flowers. So if you want something for your patio, something to accent, something to just add a little bit more of color, you can go to Walmart. And you know, Walmart has done a really good deal in terms of just having these container plants ready to go. And you can see we have more Main Street Coleus plants. Now these ones are for $8.78. I've already gotten this Coleus. Actually, every single Coleus that was released at Walmart, I have purchased. I just went overboard and bought everything. And that's the thing, plant foliage, just a little bit more about me. I tend to be obsessive about a lot of things. And when it comes down to it, it can be sometimes the detriment of, you know, my budget, because then I'll obsess about a plant. I want to buy every single Coleus, every single Monstera, every single Alocasia. So plant foliage, I'm curious if you ever find yourself doing that. You know, having obsessions is not a bad thing. I always think of it as perhaps a superpower if you utilize it in the correct way. For instance, being able to do daily plant shopping videos for y'all. I really do obsess about it. It is part of my routine. You know, I have a very demanding job. You know, I manage people. It's not necessarily the one thing that I want to do all, you know, for the rest of my life, but it has done very well for me. What I'm really passionate about is plants. And so being able to go to a big box store or a local grocery store and do these shopping videos, I obsess about it because it's so much fun for me. And, you know, if you don't have that wherewithal to really commit, sometimes you'll fall off routine. So that's a good way of, like, I guess, honing into whether you have obsessions about stuff. That's one way I like to, I guess, reframe it. And the reason why I'm able to just do these videos, because some people will ask me, like, Richie, how are you able to just keep going? I think it's because of the community plant foldies. I mean, to show you guys plants that I like, for instance, these lantana, look at how gorgeous these are. Also very drought tolerant, likes full sun, very easy to grow. But just the simple fact that you guys have been so positive every single time I produce a plant shopping video. You know, a lot of times I will just talk, whether it's about the plants, like right now I'm just talking about life. I use these plant shopping videos as more of like a personal blog as well. I feel like I can give you guys my insights. And so those that have tuned in continuously, I do appreciate it. And I do want you guys to leave in the comments, like, what other plant content you want to see, what other, you know, content you want to see on the channel. Obviously, my bread and butter is going to be mostly big box stores, but don't worry, you'll get hours and hours of plant con videos. For instance, I'm going both days and I'm planning on filming like 10 hours worth of videos. So we'll see about that. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, so many beautiful lantana. We have another coleus that was clearance for $2.50. That's not a bad one at all. Like, you can literally trim it back down and it will get bushy. The thing about coleus is they can get a little bit leggy. So when you cut it back, you can cut it back pretty aggressively. They will actually grow back and it'll be a little bit more bushy. They'll shoot more shoots, but it's so beautiful to see all of these beautiful lantana. I have been growing them in my backyard, and that was the best thing because lantana are pretty vigorous growers. They bloom profusely and they are perennial. So if they die back in the winter, they will come back full force in the summer. And I like that a lot because it does give you a lot of blooms. And then you can see right over here, plant foldies, they have gotten a restock. This looks like a totally different outdoor section for Walmart. And that's exciting because as I've done these plant shopping videos, I've started to learn a little bit more of the trends of what certain plants are. For instance, you'll see container plants coming back right here. This one's for $24.97. I really like that as well. And, you know, I love the look of this. Very elegant, very demure. A lot of people have been using the word demure for these plants. And the thing about it is, for instance, if I find a Costa Farms plant, I will start to look at all of these big box stores. So like, I'm noticing that Costa Farms is you know, actually sending out more of a particular trending tropical plant, maybe Aglaonemas. That signifies that I can go to another big box store and probably see that same type of plant. I'm not sure if a lot of plant nurseries just typically do that, like they have a certain batch of plants and then they cycle them off and show them. One plant I do want to see is if Costa Farms would ever send out a hanging basket of Mandula Pothos, I would buy that in a heartbeat. I would buy it in full force. That's that 8.5-inch Mandula hanging basket. That would be so cool. Now, I know I'm rambling a lot on a lot of my plant insights, so I'm going to go back to the plants that you can see right here. We've got some hibiscus right here. This one is for $17.88. Beautiful hibiscus flower. I really like the look of that as well. It's another one that I feel like we can get more out of. And people don't really talk about hibiscus, but they are so beautiful. Even the variegated hibiscus. And so plant foldies, if you haven't seen my Philippine plants videos under my playlist called Plant Tourism, definitely check it out. There's so many different varieties. And then the Amur petunias, beautiful petunias as well, $17.97. Really like the look of this particular petunia. It's another one that I just feel like you know, you could just add as like an annual flower. Obviously these are only annual, so they will definitely die back in this in the winter, but it's another one that just, it's so interesting that petunias had so many different hybrids. I would say about 6 years ago, even so, there weren't as many petunias with this type of the coloration and like pattern. So plant foliage, let me know if you actually like to grow flowering plants, or are you more so of like an indoor tropical plant? On my channel, I like to feature more so of every different type of plant, just because I feel like there's people who like to garden, there's people that like to be like really exclusive collectors of rare plants, and then there's just the average person like me who likes plants for what they are, whether it's bonsai, succulents, indoor tropical plants, Japanese maples, gardening, vegetable gardening, herbs, you name it, I love it. And then over here, plant foliage, we've got some Celosa flowers, really cool looking feather like blooms. And then obviously I'm just gonna pan over here and show you guys all of the succulent plants that they have available. The cool thing about these succulents is they're cost effective. Most of them are only for $4.97. I am not going to go through each name, but I will just tell you that at Walmart, it has just been really good about getting some assorted succulents and cactus. I would say Walmart probably has the most cost-effective pricing for succulents and cactus, unless you compare it to Trader Joe's, which is another grocery store that's readily available in most areas of the country. So like plant foliage, let me know what you think about these succulents. Now, I will say my aesthetic, or the type of succulents I want to grow, would be Aeoniums, specifically pink variegated succulents, succulents that have cream variegation, or dark foliage succulents that are like purple or really close to a dark brown color. I love that as well. But you can see here, lots of different succulents, and you know, there's different ways of propagating succulents. You can actually take one of these like leaves of the succulent, stick it on the surface of the soil, mist it, and it will eventually root. I found a video called prop lifting, where this lady on YouTube, I think she got like 1 million views, where she just goes around big box stores and picks up like broken pieces of succulents and asks the employees whether she can take them home, so that way she can actually propagate them. So really interesting concept. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it, but you know, there are some people who actually go to big box stores and literally take cuttings. That's also considered prop lifting. I would not agree with that. I feel like that is a form of stealing. So definitely don't do that. But it's funny because prop lifting has been kind of tossed around. It's interesting because I've heard stories where people will literally go to people's gardens, front yards, and just chop, you know, little cuttings from plants. Definitely don't do that. I think that is a form of stealing, and we always want to be honest when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I did find it interesting that this lady on YouTube did have a video called Prop Lifting, where she literally walked around, found some broken pieces on the floor that, you know, she says is actually going to just be thrown away by the big box store. She asked permission, and sometimes she's able to take them home and actually propagate them. But you can see here on plant foliage, we've got several different types of grafted cactus right here. I don't know a lot about it, but you know, I do like that it's got some very vibrant colors. Let me know in the comment section, plant foliage, if you've ever grown that. And we're just going to keep panning over here, and I'll keep showing you some plants. We've got some more coleus planters right here, combination coleus planters. I can tell that the Walmarts around the Dallas-Fort Worth area are most likely getting restocked with plants, which makes me super excited to keep traveling and looking around. So plant foliage, especially my local Dallas-Fort Worth plant foliage, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel with the notification bell on, so that way you can stay up to date about what plants are actually reaching the Dallas-Fort Worth market. It's exciting for me to be able to report my plant finds. I find it endearing because some people will actually say they watched the video, they went to that place, and they were able to get the plant that they wanted. And then over here, Plant Foldies, you've got to find this Hydra Helix, or the correct way to say it is Hedera helix, which is an English ivy. I love that plant. It's an invasive plant though, so you have to be very careful if you're gonna grow that in your landscape. And then Plant Foldies, we're gonna go ahead and walk over here. I can already tell you that there's not quite a bit of like indoor tropical plants available, but needless to say, I still wanna take a look and see what plants they have. As you can see here, we've got a plethora of bromeliads, but what caught my attention is this table right here. Even though there's not nearly as many plants, I'm going to still take a look at it. The first plant I wanted to show you for $14.97 is another Aglaonema red Siam in a self-watering planter. Everybody needs to get it. I always tell everybody that you should consider getting an Aglaonema red Siam. Easy to care for plant, low light tolerant. It does do better though with bright indirect light. You'll get more of like the pinkish colors, the reddish colors on it. It actually shoots out little babies as well. So if you want to propagate an Aglaonema, once it's really established, it starts to shoot little pups that you can separate from the mother plant. This is probably the second or most common Aglaonema aside from the Aglaonema Silver Bay. This one doesn't get nearly as large either, but it is a beautiful plant that everybody should add to their collection. Now, if you look over here, we've got a Thenanthe plant. That green on green variegation is nice, but you can see there's some crisping, but this is an Aglaonema that I find absolutely stunning. Look at that foliage of this one for $14.97. I wish I knew the plant ID for this particular Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema that I am going to buy today. Like, I already missed out on the other two Aglaonemas. I want to go ahead and get this Aglaonema because $14.97 is not a bad price at all. And you notice how it's got a very pastel light green color about it. There's just something about this Aglaonema that I like. It looks fairly healthy. There's a little bit of cosmetic damage for it, but nothing too crazy. And for the price of $14.97, that is not a bad price at all. I love the white stems as well. You know, white stem Aglaonema is my thing. So like Plant Foldies that are watching this video, do you like Aglaonemas? Like, have you ever grown an Aglaonema? Is it hard for you to source Aglaonema? What is it at Aglaonema that might interest you? What is it about Aglaonemas that you don't like? Please let me know in the comments, because again, I'm just curious, and it baffles me that not a lot of people talk about Aglaonema in any of their like videos. I've searched around YouTube to really see if other plant YouTubers really talk about Aglaonema, and there's not as many. The only person I really see that likes Aglaonemas is Janae Simone, who happens to be a good friend of mine. We actually have collabs ready to go. We have a podcast called Cultivation Corner. It's going to be me, Janae, and Steven of I Live Plants. Definitely check out their YouTube channels, but we're going to be talking about many different types of plant topics. They're going to be 30-minute podcasts that are going to be uploaded on all three of our YouTube channels, so definitely check that out. But Janae, she loves Aglaonemas. Steven loves Aglaonemas. So I just need to know, Plant Foldies, as much as we like me saying Hydra Helix, do you guys also love Aglaonemas? That is the burning question for me. And then Plant Foldies, you can see right here, Epipremnum aureum, golden pothos. That one is for $10.97 in a hanging basket. Now we have some more Sansevieria here. This is a Sansevieria trifasciata for $14.97. Another snake plant from Costa Farms. And snake plants, they always are marketed as like low light tolerant and drought tolerant. Drought tolerant, yes. Low light tolerant, I still would give your Sansevieria more light. And then over here is a beautiful Epipremnum aureum global green pothos. This one doesn't have nearly as many like very stark green on green variegation. So this is another pothos I would recommend giving a lot of bright indirect light in order for it to have the best coloration. Otherwise, you're going to get more like green versus like a light green and a dark green. This one right here is also called an Epipremnum aureum global green, but I think this is a lemon meringue pothos. And the reason why I say it's a lemon meringue pothos is because the leaves are a lot smaller, and also there's more of a yellowish tone about it. And then we're going to look at some more Costa Farms trending tropicals plants. You can see right here we've got a Raven ZZ right over here for $19.84. You can see this is a full full price one, but you can buy the ones at the other Walmart for $5 and grow it to this size. They're easy, and they actually are not as slow growing as a lot of people say they are. They tend to actually grow a lot faster though if you provide it with more light. So that's the thing, plant foldies. More light means happier plant, so you just have to really monitor that. Now, plant foldies, we have a Monstera Peru right over here. That one doesn't look nearly as healthy. That one is for $19.84, but you can see plant foldies, there's not a lot of a selection for these indoor tropical plants, and that's the only thing I will say about big box stores. I just wish big box stores would be a little bit more aggressive about possibly marking down these plants, because if they mark them down, the likelihood of them actually making it to a home is highly likely, and then less plants end up going in the trash, because you got to think, once they get really bad, the big boxer just ends up throwing them in the trash, and that's just really unfortunate, because you got to think, all of these beautiful plants that we see, it takes time to grow them. It takes time to get them to ship. There's just a lot of moving parts that we don't always think about. We just think about that plant that is struggling for dear life at a big box store, and then all of a sudden it doesn't sell and it ends up in the trash. And you got to think, these are all plastic planters. I can go on a whole plethora of just the negative footprint that houseplants can have for the environment, because you got to think about how much plastic is actually thrown away on a daily basis because certain tropical plants, houseplants, don't make it. Now, as far as the plant being thrown in the trash, it's definitely you can they're one that you can compost, but the plastic is not. But anyways, plant foldies, to go back to the plants, and I do apologize if I've talked about more insights versus the plants itself. Like I said, again, plant foldies, I just love to talk about plants, and you guys tend to give me some engagement when I do so. But you can see here, these are some more ZZ plants, and just a green variety is really cool. What I am excited about is to be able to find a variegated ZZ plant at PlantCon. If you ask me what plants I'm looking for at PlantCon, I'm looking for a variegated gloriosum. I might get a variegated alocasia. I'm definitely going to consider buying some Epipremnum aureum Japanese pothos varieties, and maybe some other philodendron and Aglaonema. So those are kind of like my wish list plants. I'm not going to buy any bromeliads, because clearly, look at how beautiful this bromeliad is. I can find them at big box stores. So I'm really going to focus on plants that are a little bit more uncommon and rare for PlantCon. My goal is to also meet up with you plant foldies and really just have a talk with you guys, see what you guys like about the channel, see what you might want me to improve on. I am going to try to garner some feedback, as well as ask you guys if you want to be interviewed, and also make a cameo on my plant content in the future, as well as just a PlantCon video. So stay tuned for that, plant foldies. But you can see here, not a lot of plants today in the indoor section. So maybe with the outdoor section starting to get full, maybe like Costa Farms is going to start pushing out more plants. Maybe they have like a summer batch that's just going to get pushed out to big box stores. We'll see what that looks like. So if you are curious to see if we're going to get more restocks, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, definitely subscribe to my channel. Definitely check it out and just see if we're going to get those. But you can see here, we still have a bunch of these philodendron Ring of Fires. These are by Growers Benz for $24.47, and unfortunately I found a better deal by Wild Interiors curated collection at Costco for $15.99. They were larger. I feel like they had better variegation. And the thing about, Ring of Fire philodendron, you have to give it quite a bit of light for it to really have the best coloration. I've noticed that, because when you start growing them in lower light conditions, they don't variegate nearly as well. So that's one thing that I would recommend, especially if you're growing a philodendron Ring of Fire. I like the serrated philodendron. So I have a philodendron Ring of Fire, a philodendron Golden Crocodile. I'm hoping to get a philodendron Jungle Boogie, a philodendron Caramel Marble, and there was actually a philodendron Ghost Mint that I found at PlantCon as well. So I'm trying to collect all of that. but we'll see. You can see right over here we have another Aglaonema that was knocked over. This one is not looking nearly as happy. If this was actually on clearance, I would totally buy it and try to rehab it. There's a soft spot for me when it comes to Aglaonemas. The only thing about rehabbing Aglaonemas though is it does take quite a bit of time. I have some Aglaonemas that are pretty much on the brink of making it to plant heaven that I imported from Indonesia, and that's really really my fault because I just neglected the watering conditions, thinking that I could push the limit and really give them total neglect. You can't do that with plants. Any plant in general. You can neglect them for so long, but they will decline in health. Even succulents and cactus, just mind you on that one as well. But you can see there, that's a philodendron white princess. We got some more philodendron ring of fires. And I've say this all the time. Now that I see philodendron ring of fire, I can pretty much find them at any big box store. So I would consider them common plants. I feel like once a plant makes it into a big box store, it is not an uncommon or rare plant. It is a plant that you can pretty much find. I always consider plants that are uncommon or rare are plants that you either have to buy online, you have to go to a plant convention, you have to do some type of plant trade, something of that nature. And it's actually really cool that we're able to find a lot of these plants at big box stores. Now over here is the quintessential classic Monstera deliciosa for $24.48. Really nice looking plant, and Costa Farms has some really good sizes for it. I have a Monstera deliciosa. I have 3 of them. One of them I bought from Walmart. I actually bought this Monstera deliciosa from Walmart at this location. I bought one from Costco most recently, and then I have one that I took propagation cuttings from that I had from an original Monstera deliciosa about 5 years ago, and it's starting to do well. I remember just propagating Monstera deliciosas because it's so easy. But anyways, plant foldies, I am about to finish up this video, but I did want to show you what was indoors. We have some more garden mums right over here, $6.97. That's actually the best pricing for mums I've seen so far at a big box. So we're going to compare and contrast and see if there are some more cost-effective mums. Again, mums start to show up during the late summer and early fall season. A lot of people will just grow them as like accent container plants for their patios. It kind of signifies the fall season. You get all of those beautiful bright reds, oranges, yellows, but you can also find chrysanthemum or mums throughout the year at a lot of local grocery stores. I know that Kroger tends to have them. And then this is the plant I ended up purchasing today. So plant foldies, let me know what you think about this video. As always, I would love for you to hit the like button for this video and also subscribe to my channel. I'll see you on the next one.